Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. We are live on Deportes Nation, live at night. There you see us. I'm Alex. Next to me is Norma. Norma, we're back. It took a while, but we're back. First of all, good evening. Norma, how are you?
I'm doing good, Alex. I know it's been a long week, hasn't it?
Well,
Since we've been off.
Well, we were off last week, Norma. We'll give people an update about why we were
Yeah.
off. It was a holiday week. We can say that, right? 4th of July.
Yeah.
Happy belated 4th of July. It's been long days, Norma. It appears that every day we find new ways to, what's the right word? To complicate our lives, right? COVID, this
Right.
and that. But here we are, Norma. We're continuing on. We have no choice but to continue moving forward and trying to make things a little bit better. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Alex Parra. Beside me, over here, is Norma Morales. Norma, happy 4th of July. How was your weekend? How did you spend it, Norma? Did you do the fireworks thing? Did you stay home? What did you do, Norma? Did you go to the beach with thousands of people, Norma?
Oh no. I stayed home. I was quarantined. I'm still quarantined right now, Alex, based on what we talked about last week. I did not do anything. I pretty much just stayed home
That's my normal
and
life. That's my normal life, Norma. COVID or no COVID. That's what I do.
yeah, so nothing exciting. Just here cleaning, bleaching, and just quarantined.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Norma. I mean,
Yeah.
in this day and age, and you saw my beautiful firework footage, Norma. I'm very excited to tell you that was my
Yeah, that's
firework
nice.
footage. Norma,
I'm glad you put that up because this is the first time I saw fireworks. So it's
you
great.
missed fire. Yeah, in this show, there's no more
I missed
fireworks.
it.
That's as exciting as this show gets. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. And Norma, I wanted to kind of go back a little bit and let people know that you and your household are under, not you specifically, you've tested, if you don't mind me saying that, Norma, you've tested negative, but those very close to you have tested positive. And how are you handling it? And I'm being honest, Norma, I know it's been tough for you, I'm sure, beyond the normal stress of life. Oh man, we just don't need this, do we? But how are you handling it, and how has it been for you? I'm sure it's been rough.
Yeah, it's been a very long week, I should say, Alex. My husband tested positive on, well, we went to test on Monday, and then we found out on Wednesday that I was negative, but was positive.
How is
So
he? How is he
luckily,
doing, Norma? He's okay.
he's doing okay. Yeah, he's doing good. I mean, there's been like yesterday, he did have some cough that was kind of different, of course. He felt like he said like drowning in some way a couple of times but that has gone away as of today. So other than that, I mean, he's been doing pretty good. So far so good. We have another week or so.
What have the doctors said, Norma? What is the prognosis? How does it work? And again, I think you're sharing something that may help many of us. We currently in Texas, so obviously we're in the Houston area. The cases continue to increase, Norma. A lot of us are basically aware that this may be an eventuality for many of us in our community. What advice do you have for any of us? And please, I mean, I think you can help a lot of us.
Yeah, it's not fun, Alex. I mean, it's, even though I tested negative, which I haven't had any symptoms, and I'm hoping I don't have it and I don't get it. But it's not fun. It's more like me and my husband have to be separated. We're in separate rooms,
But that's your
my
normal.
house.
That's your normal marriage, Norma.
That's my normal marriage. No, but I mean, we've got a 2-story house, so luckily we've got a bigger house to where we can really separate. We've got enough room, but we're having to wear a mask. I've actually got my mask here. I have my N95 mask.
Wow.
That I've been wearing here at home. Actually, I doubled it. I may be crazy, but I don't want to get it. So I have 2 that I wear and one. And I've got my sanitizer. I mean, literally, like my house smells like bleach right now because I've just been cleaning. I've had my gloves on. But it's a pain, Alex, to be honest with you. I mean, it's every day I'm having to wake up. I'm still cooking, of course, because we can't go anywhere, right? I did go out just to get groceries, meaning I do curbside. So there's no interaction really with anyone. I just pop up my trunk and they put my groceries in the back of my trunk, and then I come home. So that's all, and I'm cooking here. And when I cook, and then I leave the food at the door where my husband's room is. And I knock and tell him it's there. And then he waits till I leave and I go to the other room. So it's been difficult, I should say, this whole week.
Well, Norma, please know that we're thinking about you, and we're praying for you and your husband, and we want you to overcome this. And Norma, please know that you're being strong for a lot of us. A lot of us will at some point, I'm afraid, go through it in one way or another, in the sense of testing maybe positive or worse, having symptoms. It appears you're not in that situation, but we all have to be strong for each other, Norma. And I guess the advice that we, and the comment that I have, Norma, is really we all can do our part, right? By social distancing, by wearing masks, and being aware of it. I know that a lot of people over the 4th of July holiday, Norma, still decided and wanted to go out and socialize, and I get it. There's a balance between wanting to have that personal freedom, but doing what's right. And I wasn't joking. I normally wouldn't see the fireworks either, Norma. By the way, I'm rolling them again. I love my fireworks. Because I wouldn't get out. Usually, I'm one of those guys when New Year's comes around, I'm in bed by 10. That way I don't have to mess with people after midnight. But that's a choice I make. And I get there's a choice of people that want to go out at midnight and celebrate, and they want to go to the beach and celebrate and be in front of or around a lot of people. What we're finding, Norma, is that there's a consequence to that, potentially. And really, Norma, what we're finding, at least in the Houston area, from the information we're given, and we have to rely on the information from our public officials, is that this is not over. It's in many ways continuing, and that's my biggest concern, Norma. That we're maybe in the middle of this. I don't even want to say beginning, middle, or end. We're still in this, and we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, Alex, I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. And, right now, for me, it's everyone says they're quarantined, but it's different when you actually have it within your household.
Sure.
Because it's a totally different ballgame. It's not like I could freely go walk into any room and watch a movie with my husband or do anything. It's not even like that. It's basically like you're tiptoeing in your own home.
Right.
You're making sure, like when I'm walking out another room that's upstairs, I have my mask on, and I tell my husband, don't touch anything. Don't just walk. If you've got to walk from upstairs to downstairs for some reason, don't touch the rails, don't touch anything. And I'm Lysoling, and it's different. It's like I said, a totally different ball game when you have someone in your household that has it, because you're literally having to clean 24/7, at that point. But what I do recommend, Alex, though, for people is that think about a plan of what you want to put in place for you and your family if for some reason if you do get it.
Right.
Sure. I mean, luckily my kids are not here with me right now. They're with their grandparents, so that's a blessing, because I think it'll be harder for us, with the kids here. But it's good to come up with a plan, within your family and say, okay, what are we going to do? Who's going to be where? What's going to, I think that's better, just so that you're prepared if it does happen within the household.
Norma, you mentioned kids. What do you think the school situation is going to be? We're beginning July. For most of us, at least in the Texas area, school would start in mid-August. What are your thoughts about where schools go, Norma? We're literally a couple of weeks away from that decision having to be made.
I don't think school's gonna. I think it's gonna probably start online. Actually, Alex, virtually. That's just my thought. I mean, it's hard. I mean, how are you going to have kids wear masks, throughout the whole day? I mean, you'd have to start getting them prepared now to start wearing them, for 30 minutes and help build that, throughout the day instead of just a short time. Like for now, if you take your kids to the store or whatever, right? Sure. It's not that long, but to have them on a full day, I mean, I think that'll be a challenge, especially for the younger kids. I don't know. I think it's going to probably go into all at the start of online classes, but who knows?
What about teachers as well, Norma? Do they have a choice in this situation? And meaning, if a school district says, okay, we are back in the classroom, do teachers have a say to say, look, I'm going to wait. I choose not to come teach because I don't want to potentially put myself in harm's way. Is that also a consideration? Again, we're considering and talking about people's health, which is the most important thing. And we've got to balance the economy. We've got to balance business. I understand that, Norma, but the teachers have a say in this as well, I would imagine. If any educators are watching us, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit about your thoughts and about maybe the process within a school district.
Yeah, I think Alex. I mean, I think they should have a choice, and maybe those that can't go, maybe they be in charge of those Zoom classes or online classes.
Right.
I think you put everybody in a situation if they don't feel comfortable to be exposed to it. Again, it's no fun. It's not. It's definitely not fun, having to handle it in a household. And so having people go into work, especially the teachers, and require them and putting them at risk too. I mean, I think it's unfair. I think they should have a choice.
Sure. Well, look, a lot to talk about in that sense, Norma, because this is here with us now. It's going to be with us for a little while. And we, again, it's an extraordinary time, never in my lifetime. And we've discussed this on the show in previous programs. Have we had to deal with something like this? So, Norma, please be strong. I know a lot of people, especially that are watching, which are mostly your friends, because I don't have any friends. I'm sure are sending good wishes. They're sending good vibes, positive energy. Norma, positive energy, positive energy. I send this at the casino when I'm gambling. Norma, positive energy, positive energy. By the way, it usually doesn't work. But we're sending positive energy, Norma. Not sending cash, not doing that. The low ratings are not allowing that to happen. But maybe one day we'll send you a little gift basket.
And I'm sorry I'm having to wear a hat again. I mean, I'm limited. When I found out my husband was tested positive, I literally had to run in the room, of course, with gloves and my mask, and I had to grab a certain amount of stuff from the room because that's
why didn't he leave the room, Norma? I don't understand this.
I know, right?
Right. This is the way women treat us, and very nicely, by the way. My wife would do the same thing. She would move upstairs with her boyfriend, and I would stay in our bedroom. Too much, Norma. Go ahead.
Too much.
Maybe too much.
No, so I was only able to grab just a couple of things. So I apologize for having to wear a hat again.
So we'll be
hair stuff in the.
We'll be seeing the same outfit for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Norma, you're a trooper for being with us and for getting back. And ladies and gentlemen, there's one explanation for why we weren't on late last week and also the 4th of July. But we are back now here on Deportes Nation Live at night. Alex and Norma. Norma, I know you were about to ask me, how was my weekend? Norma, please.
How was your weekend, Alex?
Norma,
how was your July 4th
I never
weekend?
thought you'd ask, Norma. But thank you for asking. It was different because typically in years past we'd gone over to my parents' house and we'd watch fireworks, and it really was a time to be together and enjoy those fireworks and really celebrate the freedoms of what 4th of July means. This year it's taken on a different tone for many reasons. For the social awakening, I'm going to call it that, that's going on in the country because of COVID-19. So things are slightly different. So Norma, I gave in, and if you will, to watching the Disney presentation of Hamilton, the musical. And I was pleasantly surprised, Norma. Frankly, I was overwhelmed. I'd heard that it was a wonderful piece of musical theater, and it certainly was. I was impressed, and at my age, I don't get impressed much, excuse me, by many things. But Hamilton really jumped out, Norma, at me, and in the way it was presented, the concept, the idea, the music, the performances, really, to me, the last kind of musical like that, in my mind at least, that not talking about the theme. And Hamilton's controversial as well, Norma, was something like West Side Story. Just something really amazing that, trying to put social issues. West Side Story to me, obviously, is Romeo and Juliet as well, but put to music. And of course, that was, that's been 50 plus years since West Side Story. And I've watched other musicals on Broadway. I've been blessed to watch a couple. But this really, to me, stood out, Norm. I think the last thing that was even close in my mind of something just spectacular like this was maybe something like Evita or, things like that were really just, I get it, beautiful music, great performances. So I recommend Hamilton. And Norma, now, part of the problem with Hamilton, if you will, is who Alexander Hamilton was and the questioning about his ties to the slave trade, his ties to the way things were during that time in the United States. And Norma, do you think that's a fair criticism that we are now revisiting history, that we have to look at all of our history, Norma, and question it? And we talk about the statues, the monuments that are being questioned. Is this fair game these days, Norma? That basically anything that is questionable will be questioned. Is that fair? Is that how do we live in a society like that, Norma?
Oh, good question, Alex. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, who do we question? I mean, who do we go back? Do we go back to all the statues, everything, all the monuments, and look back at the history, and then determine? And who determines that? Who determines that?
Right.
Who? That's the big question. Who determines of what statue or what monument gets taken down? I don't know. I mean, again, we've got there's so many statues and monuments out there right now, Alex. There's so many that what do? You take all of them down? I don't know. I don't know.
The sporting world, Norma, also questioning itself, and we don't have any B-roll of it, but we should soon, Norma, of basically two franchises. Talking first of all with the NFL, Norma, with the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins still currently, and I may have offended someone by even using the nickname, but Norma, they are saying internally that they are looking into changing the name. Again, is that fair game? The Cleveland Indians, Norma, same thing. It's a Major League Baseball team, and they are also thinking about that change. Is it fair, and what is correct? And like you said, who determines it? Do we not have the right, Norma, First Amendment right of free speech, even if it can be offensive to others? And that's, to me, a balance. If you ask me personally, I would never use that kind of nickname for anything that I'm associated with, Norma. But you know what? I understand that we have to have the freedom, potentially, to even offend somebody. That's part of the freedom and the beauty of this country.
Yeah. No, I get it, Alex. But again, it goes back to the questions of who determines that, and that's the big question of. And I don't know. I mean, when will we find that out? Will it just continue to be where people just now say, okay, this statue, I mean, because of the history of it, we need to take it down? Again, who's going to decide that? And that I'd like to know, to see who's going to be determining that decision.
Well, take the Washington Redskins, the NFL, Norma. That's a very clear-cut, specific example. A franchise can and cannot make a difference about a decision, rather, about what the team should be called. It's up to them. So do they? One way to look at it is they're giving into pressure and they're going to change the name, or they say, you know what? No, this is our tradition. This is the name we want. There's a consequence to that decision, which is maybe they're going to alienate players, they're going to alienate fans, and they may lose their business. But that's their choice. Should that not be their choice, to basically run their business to the ground? Or maybe just the opposite. They're going to have so many fans that support it that are behind them. So, I mean, back to your question, who's going to decide? I think the marketplace decides. The people, we decide if we support their decision or not.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. Whatever you say.
Just take my pill, Norma. Ratings are going down. So.
I know.
By the way, Alice, I can see the messages now. For once, Norma. Alice says hello, and Alice, thank you for joining us. Where's Alice?
Alice.
Where's Alice? Yeah, it's your aunt, your cousin. By the way, you forget some of your family members.
No, I don't, Alex. Yeah, well, come on.
Blame COVID, Norma. Blame something. Yeah, who? What?
It's been a tough week. Come on, Alex. Give me a break.
Right. So there you are, Norma. We wanted to start a little bit, Norma. We discussed the changes in the world that are happening, but we also wanted to point to an MLS team. Just today was announced, the FC Dallas team. The MLS, Major League Soccer, are getting ready to start their season. Basically with a tournament in the Orlando, Florida area. And FC Dallas, first of all, tested several players positive in the last couple of days. And today the count went up. And the count has gone up so much, Norma, that the team, FC Dallas, have actually withdrawn from the start of the tournament. They will not be participating. This is somewhat similar to what happened with the NWSL, the Women's Professional League, Norma. And the team, FC Dallas, this is some video in the past from their arrival, will not be participating. Teams, and the reason we're showing this, Norma, it's because it's not only the MLS, but it's NBA doing something similar, Major League Baseball, and we'll talk about Major League Baseball soon, Norma. They are trying as much as possible to socially distance, to be in a bubble, to continue testing. But what is the reality here, Norma? That people are going to test positive. How then are we, meaning in this case the leagues, going to react? If you have enough people that unfortunately test positive, not even enough to have a team that can participate, you're going to have to drop that team. This is coming, Norma,
Right.
for the NFL. This is coming for the NBA. In my opinion, this is coming for all kinds of sports, which really calls into question, Norma, will sports be back in the fall?
Alex, that's a good. I mean,
I've got great questions, I know, Norma, but no answers.
you got great questions. No, I mean, Alex, I mean, this is the issue with COVID, right? I mean, one person gets it, it kind of just spreads like wildfire, I should say. You know, especially with this type of environment with all these athletes. You know, they train to get together. They're with each other all the time.
Sure.
You know, they've got. You know, it's a sport. It's close contact. It's not like, you know, where they're far in distance in the sport. It's sad. I mean, it's sad because I think a lot of them have so far tested positive. I mean, it's probably 1/3 of the team at this point. And what happens? What happens then if more get it? Then that means the whole team is not able to play. So it puts them in a bad situation. To not be able to play. But I think with fall sports, Alex, I'm hoping that this kind of calms down. I just don't see it though. I don't see it. But that's just my opinion. I think it's going to be delayed because of how the numbers have increased with COVID. And then with, like I said, with the sports being in close contact. But again, that's my opinion. What do you think, Alex?
Just to wrap up, Norman, I'll give you my opinion. We're watching B-roll from FC Dallas, the team that had arrived in Orlando. And due to having 10 FC players and one coach test positive for COVID-19, they're withdrawing from the tournament. The tournament being called MLS is Back tournament. And they were scheduled, Norma, just quickly, to be in the Group B, which would have been facing teams like the Sounders of Seattle, the Vancouver Whitecaps, and the San Jose Earthquakes. So this tells us something about what I think is going to be happening to other leagues and other sports. So to your question, Norma, beyond what we're seeing in the MLS with FC Dallas, the news breaking today, we saw in the NWSL, the Orlando Pride team also withdrawing. I think things are going to get delayed in the sense of, no, let me rephrase that. Things with NBA, for instance, and Major League Baseball, which, by the way, today, 3 baseball teams, Norma, including the Houston Astros, who are training at Minute Maid Park in downtown Houston and at the U of H campus, they today did not have training because they were waiting for test results, COVID-19 test results. That to me is starting to tell you something, that as players test positive, they're going to have to do what you're doing, Norma, which is to quarantine, which is going to throw them off their groove, which is going to throw them off their calendar and their schedule. And this, I believe, is going to be the reality that we live under. Any organization, Norma, with multiple people, once it starts, it may not end until it kind of takes its course. And I think that's what we're going to see for sports. The NBA, I think, is going to be very similar to the MLS situation. There are also NBA teams in this playoff format. Not all of them, but they're trying to finish the season and then have the playoffs, are headed to Orlando. They'll live in their bubble. There will be positive tests. I think the numbers speak for themselves. And you're going to have players that are out. In the NBA, it's even less players. If you have 5 or 6 players test positive, Norma, that team can't continue either. Because them competing, even if they're asymptomatic, they can pass it on to other teams. So that's what you don't want. Once it breaks into the bubble, it can be very, very difficult. So the question is, what will happen then to maybe university sports, high school sports, Norma? I don't think you can take that chance, which means delays, which means they're even talking now, Norma, about having college football, which is huge. And I'm a big college football fan, maybe not even taking place until the spring. So health has to be the number one priority.
Yeah, it has to be, Alex, because and that's the thing is when you say about the bubble, if you've got one person that has it and they've been around the rest of the teammates or whatever, you've done it, exposed it. Doesn't necessarily mean they've gotten it.
Sure.
But you've got to take the precaution for them to get tested. And once they get tested, they then have to quarantine because the fact that you've already been exposed to someone who's got it. So now you don't know if you have it. So now you've got to quarantine, and that takes now. Let me tell you, you can go to a place and get tested, but of course, with sports, NBA, and MLS, I mean, they've got connections where they can get the test pretty quick, right? I mean, I'm sure they can get the
but I'm
test.
going to stop you there, Norma. They may have connections and they may be spending the money. It doesn't entitle them to have any more, from what I understand, right to testing and right to treatment as the rest of us. This is a national epidemic. And yes, it's unfortunate. And I'm sure one day we'll find out, Norma, that maybe there were privileged people that had an advantage over others. And that's sad. There are people, Norma, today in Houston standing in line for hours. There are people today in Texas standing in line for hours to be tested who aren't getting tested. And is that fair?
Right.
Forget fairness. I would hope that this country, Norma, with the economic prosperity that we've had and the economic power, we'd be able to get to everyone. And I hope that's the case.
Well, just my experience, Alex, just to tell you, I called 2 places to see tests like that day. I had an urgent care that was able to get us in that day. I called our county, which said they were not going to get back to me until 2 or 3 days. Well, guess what? I didn't get a call from them until 5 days later.
Wow.
So that took a while, and that was just to get an appointment. That
Sure.
was just to get me on their books. So I can see people waiting days and, of getting the test. I think there's other avenues. Like I said, with my situation, I called multiple places. I wasn't going to stick with one. I wanted to get the place that's going to take me right there and then,
Sure.
which I was able to find. But Alex, going back to them, with sports though, again, I'm sure that they're able to have connections and get the testing. But even that, I mean, you still have to quarantine. You still have to quarantine until you get it. The tests some they say come the next day. Mine took 2 days. I guess it just depends on what kind of test, you get. But then also, if you test, you may too early, is what I'm told. So you could probably get symptoms a couple of days after, which
Sure.
then you're going to have to get retested again. So even though if a player is exposed, that day, they may not show symptoms until maybe a week later. So if they took the test before then and came out negative, doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have it. It's just they probably hadn't shown symptoms yet. That's like in my situation, Alex. I mean, the doctor told me I didn't have symptoms, but she says during this period, if I do get symptoms, for me to retest, because I probably could still have it, of course.
Well,
so that could be, player situation as well.
You're living it, Norma, and you're a part of it. Frank Hernandez, who's following us and tuning in, thank you, Frank, says people are being careless. I believe sports won't be till next year. And, that's kind of a logical approach, Frank, and he's right. And if we're uncertain, why would we continue to push this? The other side of this, Frank and Norma and the rest of you that are watching us, the other side of this, Norma, is the financial hit that this will bring to college sports, to professional sports. Whether we like it or not, these are businesses. And college sports, to me, Norma, and one day you're going to hear my soliloquy on especially big-time college football. Athletes should be paid. Athletes are athletes. Football players, student athletes, let's call them that for the moment, are basically playing in 100,000-seat cathedrals that cost millions and millions of dollars, getting millions and millions of dollars of revenue, and the poor kids don't even have enough money sometimes to go out and get a meal on the weekends. They should be paid professionals, period. That's an easy one to me. And we will talk about that one day, I promise you. But my point is the revenue. Some of these universities, Norma, which some of them are public, are living off the football team because that's become the priority versus academics. Why can't we just have universities worry about academics and then have someone buy the franchise, buy the stadium, and run it like a business? And you bring in those college students or whoever of that age wants to play. Whenever I mention this, Norma, and I'm sure I'm going to get a nasty letter, well, you can't do that. It's tradition. You have to do this. No, you don't have to do anything. We have chosen to play it this way, Norma. And now some programs are going to be affected financially, and that's the rush. They are trying to rush potentially to get back on the field because they want to have that part of it. So it's a balance. The other side of this, Norma, and it's an important argument, which is how long do we wait? How much do we risk? And we have to risk something, Norma. And I don't mean any disrespect to you by saying this. And you've done this. You're still living. You're working. You're trying to get through it. We have to keep getting up every day and trying. And I know some days are more difficult than others. Believe me, in my life I've had those days. But what else is there, Norma? There is no other choice.
No, there is no other choice. I mean, I think in this situation it's hard, Alex, you know, with what's going on. And I understand it's like we can't really stop our lives and not push forward, but I think there has to be a way for us to do it safely, right? I guess with now the mandating of masks, you know, being a requirement, hopefully people are complying with that, and hopefully that will help. And then we'll just see what comes out of it, right? We'll see what comes out of how we can get rid of it.
Now, let's turn to the other side of this, Norma. Do you enjoy and do you miss watching basketball? Do you enjoy and watching sports? And do you miss that? You know, we're watching some B-roll of the NBA, Norma, and it really is, you know, something we miss, something that's part of our lives. We've gotten used to the NBA playoffs. We've gotten used to the beginning of spring training, now summer. We miss sports. Sports are an important part of our lives. Are they not? And are they not then worth the risk? A lot of our children, Norma, grow up all our lives looking at sports figures as heroes. And because of that, we realize, you know what, this is what we want. This is who we are as a society. Let's not take it away from us. You know, again, back to choices, Norma. And to answer your question, choices, who makes the decision? We do. We have that choice to participate or not, to play or not, to buy the ticket or not.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, Alex, is that, you know, we make that choice. But, you know, for players, you know, are they going to be required to play even though they don't feel comfortable in playing and being in that situation? You know, and could that be half the team? Could that be 1/3 of the team? How would that impact sports overall? Yeah, we all have a choice.
And then what do you do, Norma? The ones that don't, do they not get paid? The ones that do get paid. So it really, again, an amazing, unique time, please.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I mean, is that fair for them? I understand that they're not playing, but it's their health that they're worried about as well, you know, and not only their health, but their family's health.
Sure.
You know, you have to understand, it doesn't only impact your own health. It also, when you go home, it impacts your family's health, and then it impacts your family's, your parents and your grandparents and your friends, and it goes on.
For those of you that have friends, I'm not in that boat.
Yes, for those that have friends.
Thank you, Norma. That doesn't include me. By the way, Norma, what are your friends saying? Have you, beyond what you're living, which is tough, the mental side of this is important, and all of us, you know, have that anxiety, that worry. I believe all of us, most of us, many of us do. Let me put it that way. But what kind of support have you received from your friends and family, Norma?
You know, I've gotten really good support from my family. You know, my parents, you know, they're watching my kids, which is a huge, huge help. I've had friends that have reached out and said, hey, you need groceries or any errands for us to run, we'll do it for you. It's been a really good support system right now, Alex, which I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have friends. I'm
Yeah.
blessed to have my family, of course.
I don't know what that is, Norma.
But I'm trying to do a lot on my own. The things I can't do on my own, I'll ask for help. But majority of the time I've been able to, and I think what it is because I'm not having any symptoms. I'm still able to do certain things. I think I'd be in a different situation if me and my husband were both really sick and couldn't
Sure.
move, then
Sure.
that would be a totally different story. I'm knocking on wood and praying to God that we just continue how we are right now till the end of this whole COVID thing, and we can just get over it. But we'll just have, and the thing is, Alex, with all this, it's like literally you're counting day by day, and you're marking it off and saying, okay, we've got, 7 more days to go. And then every day I'm calling my husband and saying, are you okay? Just checking up on him, making sure he's okay. And then, of course, myself, just making sure I'm okay. And so, yeah, it's my anxiety's high, but, I could deal with it and just get through it. So.
And so far you're doing it without the need of any pills, Norma, or are you starting to?
Yeah, luckily no pills.
Okay, no pills yet.
No
Okay.
pills yet.
All right. Okay.
No pills yet. Thank
Good,
goodness.
good.
No.
We all have to cope. You know that during the shutdown or the lockdown, I guess earlier this year, Norma, the sales of alcohol continued to increase. So somebody's drinking something somewhere, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I get it,
And
Norma.
if anyone knows, right? And if anyone knows where any Lysol can be located, that's one thing I do need is more Lysol.
You need a little Lysol. Norma, speaking of friends, your friends in low places, Garth Brooks, Norma, apparently was going to have a concert. I don't know if you know the latest, Norma. My understanding is that the concert's not going to take place, right?
Is that through the drive-ins or is that an actual concert?
I think it's through the drive-in. That's what I understand.
Oh,
I guess I should do a little more research here, Norma. But my understanding was that there had been a delay in the Garth Brooks concert. Maybe you can help me look that up, Norma, so we're not giving bad information away. But you're the big Garth Brooks fan. I thought you had this info, Norma. Mr. Producer, you're telling me to bring this up to Norma. She has no clue what I'm talking about. It's your fault, Mr. Producer, not mine. I can't believe this producer.
Alex, it's like, no summer concerts at Garth Brooks at the drive-in.
There you go.
You're right, Alex.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, write that down. You're right, Alex. Just for the record.
Right.
So that we're seeing a pattern, Norma, that it's not only...
Yeah, he did.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Confirmed. That it's not only, Norma, sports, it's entertainment, potentially other institutions that are having to face this and make changes. I think one of the lessons, Norma, we're going to learn from this is that we all have to be flexible. We all have to be able to change and not let it, what's the right word? Let it bother us, let it hurt us in that sense, but accept it. And okay, here we go. We're postponing this for 2 weeks. We'll get through it. Just to share, Norma, in my family, we had a very big event scheduled for September of this year. And now we've postponed it by another year.
Yeah.
Just as a reality of what we are living through, which is, you know what, we'll pick it up again in 2021. Those are the kind of decisions that many of us are having to make to deal with. And I think, Norma, our world will forever change in the sense of this. Maybe this show will just continue this way remotely because I know you don't want me anywhere near you anytime soon. Right?
No.
Can you imagine being in the same studio? That wouldn't happen, Norma.
It's to be away from me.
Norma, you broke up a little bit. I guess the internet gremlins are not cooperating with us at this moment. There you go. So Ms. Norma, as you can tell, is trying to reconnect. We'll figure out what's going on with her internet and get her back. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are joining us here on Deportes Nation live. This is how live it is, that whenever we have technical difficulties, you will be able to see him as well. So as soon as Norma pops back in, we'll pick her up on the other side. Norma, we heard nothing other than you resetting So how are
Yeah.
you? And now the floor is yours, Norma.
I don't even know. I
Something
kind of
about you
heard
not
some
wanting
things
to
that you
work
were
with me.
saying.
That's all I heard.
No, I said you definitely don't want to be near me right now,
Or
Alex, of
any other
course.
time, to be honest with you.
Or any other.
That's not anything new, Norma.
Oh,
Well, look, we have to be
no.
flexible, Norma. Now more than ever, we're at that point in time where flexibility is now part of our lexicon. It's part of who we are,
Yeah.
what we do, and there are no. And now, I'm going to turn to politics, Norma. There is nothing that important that cannot be amended in some way relative to, for instance, conventions, political conventions. I don't see how they happen this summer, Norma. The the GOP and the Democratic Party convention. I would think that has to be the traditional way of doing it. Has to be amended. Has to change. Doesn't have to, but again, it's a choice, and there's a consequence to the choice. Should people decide no, we're moving forward, we're going to go on with it. I think in Houston, Norma, the state GOP convention scheduled for the George R. Brown, which is a big convention center in downtown Houston. Today, Mayor Turner came out and said, you know what, we want you to please cancel this, and all other events at that convention center have been canceled or postponed or rescheduled. Will the GOP, Norma, make it a political issue and say, no, we're not doing it, this is our right? And I guess it is their right, isn't it, Norma? Is it the right of the city to shut down the convention center? I'm going to take my pill while you answer that one, Norma.
Oh, and it goes back to, if they do it, is it just because it's just political, or they just want to stand up for their freedom in regards to it, or can we just all just think about it and be part of it because of it's due to everyone's health reasoning, right? I don't know, Alex. I think it should all be kind of just all rescheduled, but people are going to do whatever they're going to do, and we're going to hear about it, and I'm sure they're going to wind up having the convention.
Very likely, Norma, on screen now is what the situation is in Harris County right now, which is severe. Stay home, work safe. That's the official warning from our government, from our county officials. One of the questions is, Norma, how seriously do we take that? It appears some people will say, yes, this is the guideline we're going to follow. And others are saying, you know what? Not necessarily. It's a recommendation. This is the other part, Norma, that I think is confusing a lot of us. We're getting mixed messages. On the one hand, it's okay to do this. On the other hand, it's not okay to do that. So when we're not in sync, Norma, where does that put the rest of us? I'm not the only one that feels this way, right, Norma? We get mixed feelings, mixed emotions, and that can be a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I don't think we're not all in sync, I should say, Alex. I mean, you've got people who don't want to wear masks, even though it's required. I mean, I've seen some crazy videos, I'm sure you have, of people that are throwing a fit because of it. You've got, I heard at Montgomery County where, I don't know if it's the police department, sheriff department, constable, one of them, I don't quote me on it, but I know it's just Montgomery County, where they said they're not going to give citations just because of the mask.
Sure.
That they've got other things to do, So what does that tell the people? Like, you really don't have to wear it. I think there's different opinions, different people saying things. So everyone's got mixed opinions or recommendations or requirements. So there's no straight line for us to do the guidelines. So everybody's going to do whatever they want to do at this point, I think.
Well, the problem with that, Norma, is if everybody's right, then nobody's wrong, or everyone is wrong. We can't all be right sometimes, Norma. And in this case, it's the science. So look, I know it's a lot. I know it's an ongoing conversation. My hope is that we continue talking about it. My hope is that we can arrive at a middle ground, Norma. Unfortunately, I think the political debate has taken it to extremes, and it's really pushing to have us be either with or against versus all of us together. That's where I go back to I think, are failed politicians, Norma. We've got to find a way to come together, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
Even if it hurts, and hurts meaning our pride, hurts meaning who we are as people, and saying, look, we're Americans first and foremost. Let's get through this, and then we can have, by the way, this all these debates about left and right. The problem, Norma, is that it's a presidential election year, and there's a lot of interest from the parties and the people in power to keep that power.
Yeah.
I'm going to take another pill while you answer that one, Norma.
Yeah, I mean, elections are coming up, right? So, and that's the thing, Alex. I mean, right now, I could go on and I want to double check something real quick, Alex.
Please,
facts. I want to bring
facts do matter, Norma Morales. Facts do matter.
Facts do matter, and I forgot to mention this to you earlier, Alex, because I know it's been a crazy day.
Live television, ladies and gentlemen, while we check our facts. This is good.
Yeah, I just want to check my facts here and just make sure it's correct.
Before you unload something that's coming, Norma, I can see your intensity, Norma. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Something's about to happen big, ladies and gentlemen. This is the build-up.
I don't want to say anything. Maybe I need to do my research, or maybe I'll say that.
All right, just tease us like you have.
I did find it. I did find it.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, young lady.
It's kind of like, so.
She can't. She can't bring herself.
I saw Trump.
President Donald Trump.
See, Trump said that. This is his tweet, which was 14 hours ago, about Bubba Wallace. Because, we've been talking about Bubba Wallace a lot the week before.
The NASCAR driver, yes, ma'am.
The NASCAR driver.
Yes.
He says, has Bubba Wallace apologized to all those great NASCAR drivers and officials who came to his aid, stood by his side, and are willing to sacrifice everything for him, only to find out that the whole thing was just another hoax, and capitalized hoax? That and the flag decision has caused lowest ratings ever.
Go ahead, Norma. I'll listen.
Doesn't he have other better things to do, Alex, than having to, really? That tweet right there just disturbed me, just because of the fact we have all this stuff going on, and he wants to call out Bubba Wallace of not apologizing in NASCAR. Really?
Well, Norma, my understanding, because this is a question that was raised at a White House press conference earlier today, was that the president wanted to clarify that this was not a hate crime, according to the FBI, which it was not. Apparently, it was a garage door opener that potentially looked like a rope that could be used for lynching. And I guess his point, though, was that people, the media, jumped to conclusions and made it a hate crime situation. That was my understanding of what President Trump was talking about and wanted to convey. Norma, should he be worried about this or about COVID testing? Should he be worried about this or what's going on in our economy? Should he be worried about this or what's going on with North Korea? This is the path he has chosen, Norma. I'm not going to hide from the fact that this is the era of a politician who wants to stay in power, and this is the way he does it, Norma, by tweeting. This is part of his routine. Being a president today, in his mind, is tweeting, because he wants to control the narrative. He wants for people to talk about what he feels most comfortable with. And there you go, Norma. It is factual at this point, Norma, that it is not a hate crime. That there was a, not rush to judgment, but there certainly was, Norma, that idea that, you know what, it could have been something awful, and it was not. And from that point of view, I see we've got to kind of weed out all these things.
Yeah, but the end of the day, Alex, I mean, Bubba Wallace wasn't the one who brought it up. he wasn't the one that found the rope how it was. It was brought to his attention. It wasn't the Bubba Wallace who made this out in public and came out with all this. I mean, this came to him in regards to it. Not it wasn't his start of it, right? So I just strike that it just strikes a little, for that tweet to come out saying, why hasn't he apologized? Well, you know what? He didn't start this. He didn't start coming out with it. He didn't point it out. Somebody else pointed it out to him, which is actually someone in the hierarchy of NASCAR. So, I don't know.
Norma, back to the footage we just showed. Who was it? Who was it? And we're going to show it again, Norma. That wasn't Bubba Watson. Sorry, Bubba Watson. Bubba Wallace, sorry.
Bubba Wallace?
Yeah, Bubba Watson as the golfer, sorry. That was NASCAR. NASCAR organized this. Every pit crew, Norma, got behind this. So they either did it because they were forced or they did it because they actually cared. But that wasn't one driver. That was an entire institution getting behind the notion that the potential hate crime was unacceptable. That's not a bad thing at all. That's not a bad thing. Now or before or ever to stand up for that kind of thing. Now, once the air clears and once an investigation happened, and apparently this is what we're told, again, we have to maybe doubt things or question things is the right word. No hate crime. It was something maybe not as calculated as a simple pull rope for a garage door. That's the way it's being presented. It could have been the other way. The question, I guess, Norma, is why is our president spending time doing this, correct? He wants this. He wants this, Norma. Well, to me, it's obvious. He wants this to be a talking point for many people, and he wants disagreement. He wants to continue stirring the pot of discontent. That's what's going to get him reelected. I think it's as easy as that, isn't it?
You said that's going to get him reelected?
Right.
Is that what you just said?
Yes. Being polarized is going to get him reelected, Norma. He knows that if he keeps people like this, he's got a base of 33% that will be there for him, period. And that was enough last time. That's all he needs. He doesn't need the majority of America getting behind him. Just that same group to vote for him again. And he's president for 4 more years.
You never know. Kanye may be president this coming election.
Well, there you go, Norma. What is that going to do, right? There you go. That's a whole other show, Norma. That's a whole other show. I'm just happy.
We can talk about that another day.
Speaking of another day, Norma, we got less than 3 minutes left. They're telling us that we got to go. But Norma, the main thing today was to get you back on the air. I'm so excited and happy that you're back, that you're feeling good, you're looking good. That's what counts. And well, you're looking okay. Let's not lie.
Yeah, this isn't a good look today, but hey, I had to do the best that I could.
I'm kidding, Norma. We are excited, and we also want to mention, Norma, that starting tomorrow on Deportes Nation, the same live broadcast, I'll be interacting with our colleague Enrique Vasquez, and we'll be doing a little bit of sports in Spanish. That'll be at noon daily. So we're kind of trying to crank up the content, the programming, and we can't do it without any of you. With your support, with you tuning in, with you listening, with you watching, with you participating. Send us your comments. Send Norma the check because she needs it at this point in time in her life. So do I, by the way, so send me the check. Norma, the message for tonight is that we're back on the air. We're going to keep working through this. I know there's good times and bad times in life, but I'm excited that you're back, Norma. I really missed being on the show with you. I know you didn't miss me, but at least we're back on the air, right?
I'm glad this is being recorded because now I know that you really missed me, Alex. So that means a lot.
I missed you a little. It's all relative, bit, Norma. It's all relative. I just missed you a little bit. So anyway, Miss Norma.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, our best wishes to you, to your husband, to your family. Hang in there. and you'll be giving us daily updates. Tomorrow, Norma, we'll be talking a little bit more about the MLS, the NWSL. We'll also be getting ready for hopefully the beginning and opening of a lot of these sports. So that's part of our routine, Norma, to talk and hopefully get all of you involved as well. Norma, I'm going to have you take us home, Norma. If you want to say goodbye on behalf of all of us, it's all yours, young lady.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching us and being back with us this week. So we look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Have a good night.
Ciao. Good night. Peace and love.